This Week in Startups is brought to you by Upside, the best new way to buy business travel. Visit upside.com, enter the promo code TWIST, and you're guaranteed to get at least a $100 Amazon gift card after booking your first trip. And Aero, the world's first home mesh Wi-Fi system for free overnight shipping. Visit aero.com, EERO.com. At checkout, select expedited shipping, then enter promo code TWIST. And Mighty Networks. Go to mightynetworks.com/twist and click on Create a Network to start your Mighty Networks business plan with a free 14-day trial.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis, and this is the show where we talk about building companies, entrepreneurship, angel investing, technology. Basically, we talk about the future and the people who are attempting to build it. I have a good friend on the show today. I'm super excited to have him because I don't think Ryan Carson has ever been on the program.
No, not in this beautiful studio.
But were you ever on the early episodes?
Yeah, early on, episode 198 in a studio in LA.
Okay, you were on.
I was like 19.
This is crazy because the show has been going on for so long now that I literally can't remember if some people have been on the show. And then I have friends who haven't been on the show and they're like,
awkward.
Yeah, you never invited me. It's been 750 episodes. And I'm like, it's just we haven't gotten around to it. And like after 8 years of doing it. But it's great to have you on again,
Thank you.
Ryan. And I don't know if you were on last time, if Treehouse was actually launched yet, or were you launching it?
We had just launched it.
Okay, so this was 4 years ago, maybe 5?
6.
6 years ago, you had just launched Treehouse.
Yeah.
And for those people who don't know, explain to them what Treehouse is.
So Treehouse is an online trade school for adults, and we do one thing really well. We teach people how to code. And we used to try to do everything, but now we are very, very good at taking people from zero to job ready, 100% online. So
you used to do everything as in design or...
Design, tried to teach advanced stuff, tried to teach everything. And now we said, no, we're really, really good at taking anybody who has never coded from zero to job ready.
Fascinating.
And, we're good at that now.
So in a way, it's like these code schools that have popped up. You have General Assembly or I don't even know the names of the other ones, but there's a bunch of these.
Yeah, the big ones, but
what are the big ones?
The biggest is General Assembly, and then there's Galvanize, which is great as well, but we are 100% online.
And those programs, from what I understand, cost $10,000, $20,000. Is that right?
Yeah, and this is one of the fundamental things that I believe is that this has to be affordable, and so we can get Treehouse down to 10%.
So let me guess, those programs are $10,000 to $20,000. Yours is just $5,000.
$1,000.
$1,000.
Yeah. So we.
And you think you have the same efficacy, or you have the same efficacy at this point?
We think we have the same.
Really?
It takes a little bit longer. So it takes about 6 months. It's about an hour a day. It's 100% online. But if you put in the work, absolutely, we are seeing our students get ready. But I think this is the point, is that you have to be able to do this online. I mean, most people have kids. Most people have jobs.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to take 3 months off and learn.
Right. So how do you charge for it? Do they pay $1,000 for the course? Because I remember back in the early days, it was just $25 a month.
Yeah. So we have evolved.
Shifted the business model.
Yeah. So we've been doing this for 7 years. So all of you founders out there, this is one of those classic stories of, you probably didn't hear about us until now, but we've been working for 7 years.
Another 7-year overnight success.
That's right. And so we started out really simple, $25 a month, literally copied Lynda and their pricing.
Yeah.
And
Lynda was bought by LinkedIn for $1 billion?
1.5.
1.5 billion.
Yep.
How much revenue do you think they had? 100?
We think they were doing 150.
150.
Yeah. So
10 times top line revenue.
Right.
Not a bad business.
Not bad at all.
Makes your business worth $250 million.
That's right. Not bad.
Or so.
So we really just copied him and said, hey, let's teach online and delivered this way. And we did that for quite a few years. I'd say probably 6 years. We just focused on consumer. And then we wanted to really dive deep for people that wanted to get serious about it and say, hey, if I really, really want a job, I want a dedicated program, I want more support. And so we launched what's called the Tech Degree. And the Tech Degree is essentially an online boot camp. Only costs $200 a month, takes about 6 months. But the other interesting thing is, and every founder watching this that has survived this long has this experience where they have to decide, okay, are we consumer? Are we B2B? Are we enterprise? What's the mix?
Yeah.
And we're actually one of those lucky businesses that has a consumer funnel. So people hear about Treehouse and they want to learn how to code. So they try our $25 product.
Which is just videos or small courses?
Correct. It's basically videos with an online coding environment, but no hardcore support, no projects, no grading, no credential. And then they can upgrade to the more dedicated experience. Hey, I want to get job ready. So I'm going to do that. And that's the tech degree. But what's fascinating is the fastest part of our business that's growing is B2B. Yeah. And so we figured out that we're actually very good at solving skills gaps for businesses.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I work at a business. I'm in the IT department, and I don't code, and IT is going away. And my company says, listen, you're smart, Jason. If you can handle doing the Lotus Notes and the Microsoft servers and being a sysadmin, maybe you could write code. So we'll pay the $1,200.
Right. Let's re-skill you.
Yeah.
But as well, we're seeing a ton of companies that are not just doing that, but they're trying to figure out what to do with their talent hiring pipeline. Everybody is trying to figure out where do we hire developers before Facebook gets them, before Google gets them.
So they're moving upstream to try and pick them off.
Right, because essentially most people that are listening to this are never going to be able to compete with Google's recruitment team, Facebook's recruitment team. They just pay too much. They offer too many benefits. They're too sexy.
What does a Google or Facebook engineer get paid these days? What does a total package look like?
Crazy money. I mean, especially if you're in Silicon Valley. I mean, basically...
I'm not saying for an elite 10-year developer, but let's say out-of-school developer or maybe 1 or 2 years at a startup under their belt and a reasonably good developer. Let's call them an 8.5 out of 10.
I'd say they're probably making at least 125 minimum.
Minimum. Plus
and that's
stock options.
Yeah, and that's here in Silicon Valley, and that's part of the reason why we put Treehouse in Portland, Oregon instead, because we don't have to have this war for talent that you do down here. But essentially, the war for talent is brutal here.
Right.
And this is part of what I want to talk about today is every company, every founder is listening to this, is trying to hire good talent. And I think there's a misconception that they're actually going to be able to get that talent. And the reality is there's just not enough developers coming out of computer science departments, period. Indeed.com came out with a stat last week and said there's going to be 1.3 million new developer jobs in the next 10 years.
In the world.
In America.
In America, 1.3 million.
The universities are only going to graduate 400,000. So we have 900,000 holes that the schools aren't going to fill. And so if you think you're going to be able to just go out and hire mid-level talent to advanced talent, if you're not a sexy company like Facebook, you basically are lying to yourself.
Or a company that has a money printing machine like Facebook, Google, Uber, Airbnb, because they can outbid you. For $25,000 more for them is nothing. Free food is nothing. Free dry cleaning, free whatever.
Right. But to you, that's expensive. And so you're never going to win. And
are you advocating to make your own talent?
Absolutely. So we are developing this idea of a farm team. And the idea that any business now needs to start thinking about developing their own talent, both with an external pipeline coming into the company, but also internally reskilling people.
Got it. So you have a need for more, I don't know, what's a development language that you service right now that's most in need? What do you see most people are drawn to?
100% full stack JavaScript. So it's super hot. We've seen the transition.
Full stack JavaScript.
Absolutely. And it's just hotter than hot. Facebook came out with this framework called React.
Yes.
And everyone's using it.
Now React, which they came out with, just to get a little geeky here, allows you to write the code once. It works in a number of different locations.
Right, even on mobile.
Even on mobile. So this idea that you have to build a native app, we were all told, and Facebook actually suffered because Facebook, their first app was a wrapped web page.
Right.
Then they failed brutally.
Native.
Then they went native.
Right.
And now have we come full circle to where I, as a consumer, would not be able to understand the difference between a React app and a
native app? Yeah.
A native app. Or is it close? Or
it's essentially on par. now.
Really?
Yeah. And so this is throwing everybody into a tizzy, and it's that we may see native mobile development go away, which is actually good for companies because it doesn't mean you no longer need an Android team, an iOS team, and a web team.
You have a development team.
Right. You can start to combine them, and you don't have to worry about feature parity.
It'd be much better if that was the case, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be way better. It'd be better for everybody. So we're starting to see that happen. And it's just interesting alignment around JavaScript. I learned C++ when I did a computer science degree.
Yeah.
Never
and that's
used it.
how the Apple apps are made, iOS apps.
Right. Yeah. Objective-C.
Objective-C.
And so it's all changing now. But the major point is that React is actually hot right now, but probably in 12 months it won't be. It's going to be something different.
What do you think is the next thing? Have you been monitoring it? You have seen anything?
The problem is you can't tell. And this is part of the problem is the talent problem is so difficult because number one, you can't beat Facebook and Google in the war for talent. And you can't keep people upskilled fast enough because the technology is changing too fast. And the only way to deal with this is to figure out how to learn little bit by little bit every day and never stop. And part of what I wanted to communicate on the program today is that we need to switch to an apprenticeship model in tech.
I believe in this.
100%.
All right. When we get back from this commercial break, pause for the cause, as we call it, from one of our very important partners.
Pause for the cause.
Pause for the cause. Ryan, I want you to explain to me what your vision of an apprenticeship is, i.e. who pays, because I know companies, and I've run companies, and I've been on the board of companies, I've invested in 150 companies. When they tell me they're getting interns, I go, don't waste your time.
Right.
You do not have the resources to be in the mentorship business.
Interesting.
This is too small.
Right.
And then if you have them and you don't pay them, then you're going to get sued.
Right.
And it's just the whole thing is a disaster. But I do say, I've always thought, if we were getting paid and there was some quid pro quo there, maybe there would be a possibility. So I'm open-minded to the idea of apprenticeships, even though I am very nervous about the concept of internships. And then on top of that, I want to talk about a very controversial topic, which you and I get pulled into sometimes, or I pull you into on the social media, which is I've always said there is a incorrect belief in the world that the ability to rise up and learn how to use these tools is now freely available to everybody on the web.
Right.
And with the proper motivation, anybody, I believe, could teach themselves a skill that would get them a job if they were in fact motivated, to which people told me that I am a clueless, white male privilege, cis white male. They told me a lot of different things. But I want you to definitively answer this, because you did favorite my tweet, but I don't know if favorites equals endorsement when we get back on This Week in Startups. Hey everybody, I want to tell you about a brand new service called Upside.com. My assistant Jess has been using it here, and it is awesome. You go to Upside.com and you book your hotel and your flight together, and they give you an Amazon gift card for between $100 and $300. Yes, if you are booking your hotel and your airline ticket together, your flight and your hotel together, that saves a lot of money for you, and they pass that along in the form of an Amazon gift card. If you're a frequent biz traveler, your company saves a bunch of money, and you can get thousands of dollars a year just by buying your air and hotel together at Upside.com. Plus, you'll still get all your miles, so there's no issue there. And it takes about 3 minutes, or less actually, I did it less than 3 minutes, to see how much you can save by buying your flights and hotel together for one low price. So here is your call to action. Please go to Upside.com and enter the promo code TWIST, and you will get at least a $100 Amazon gift card for free for your first trip. It is a no-brainer. Save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip. That call to action, one more time, go to Upside.com and use the promo code TWIST. It's great to have you as a partner on the podcast. Thanks a lot to Upside for supporting independent media like This Week in Startups. Okay, speaking of which, let's get back to this amazing episode. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Jason. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Jason. If you want to follow me on Tumblr, I'm jason.tumblr.com. It's just me showing off, Ryan, all of my premium handles.
Impressive.
Don't have jason.com.
Why not?
I think it's for sale, but I don't know that I would need it.
Probably don't need it now.
I got calacanis.com.
Do people go to web pages anymore?
They still do. I still love a good premium domain.
Right.
I'm still into a good premium
You
domain.
made a lot of money
I
with
invest in
domains.
com.com
Wow.
based upon the fact that Alex impressed me so much that I had a 4-letter domain name.
Right.
Because I had a 2-letter domain name and some 5 and 6s, but a 4 is
It's impressive.
it's pretty impressive. I still believe in it. So my guest today is Ryan Carson. He's an old friend of mine. I met you because you used to do the future of web apps.
That's right. Future web apps.
I got it right.
You did.
And you were very generous. This is 10 years ago, 2005 timeframe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I always thought this was very generous of you. Before I had any money, and I was coming up in the industry, I just, kind of started Weblogs Inc. And I was kind of like a little bit of a hot commodity in the space.
That's right.
We were booming. And then my friend Kevin Rose was doing Dignation.
Yep.
And another friend of mine had started a tech blog. I can't remember the name of it. It was Crunch something. Anyway, a couple of us, and you would fly us out, put us up.
Try to take care of you.
It was very generous. There was no speaking fees, I don't think, but
No, we couldn't afford that.
but still, and it was so impressive to me. We would go to London,
Right.
or some outskirts of London, candidly,
Right.
And you'd have 1,000 people there who were fans of ours.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know that we had any fans there. But I remember being at this party, and we were in a little VIP area you'd set up.
Yep.
And Dignation was peaking.
Oh boy, that was insane.
And there were hundreds of people around the VIP room that we were in, looking down on us and trying to get Kevin Rose to sign
all
various
sorts of things.
parts of their body. There's a
Yeah.
famous picture of Kevin signing different
Yes.
parts of people's bodies at the time. It was nothing that salacious,
Yeah.
but people's arms and
It was
backs.
interesting.
It was pretty wild.
It was.
That
crazy.
business became pretty large. You had a dozen people working for you.
Yeah, we
It made
did.
millions of dollars. You sold it.
We did.
Why'd you get out of that business? It was just you burned out?
No, it was because I had my first kid. And what I realized is that I needed to do something more meaningful with a larger impact now. So I was always, I was raised very religiously.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Scientology? Mormon?
Yes.
Christian?
No.
Which one?
Christian.
Christian.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and
Catholic?
no, good old fashioned evangelical.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado, the Christian Mecca of the world.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
And, but it was drilled into me. Treat people well, make the world better,
Right.
serve people. And that is still important to me today just because it was
Yeah.
drilled into my being. And so I had been doing the events business and having fun. I mean, made good friends like you,
Yeah.
met amazing people, traveled. And people would walk away from the conferences. I mean, you experienced this at
Yeah.
launch. I mean, it's exciting and
Sure.
it's fun.
Life-changing for people.
But, there became a moment when I had Jackson, my first son, and I just thought, you know what? I'm going to die someday. You get mortal.
You do. You get that
Really?
mortality.
Yeah. And so I thought, okay,
Couple of gray hairs.
I'm going to run out of time here. And if I am serious about making an impact and helping as many people as possible, I need to do this, but at scale. And so the idea was kind of milling in my mind. And then my wife, who's smart and straightforward, said, well, why don't we take this and take the concept and hire a teacher, film them, and put them on the internet and charge for that?
Yeah.
And it was like, well, yeah, duh, let's do that. And
course.
so really it became about impact and saying, I want to change as many lives as I can. So we did that in 2010, not knowing at all how to do this. And now we've ended up with 80,000 students and
Fascinating.
having a lot of fun and learning a ton in the process.
Christ would be proud.
I think so. I hope so.
I grew up Catholic. I'm now agnostic.
Yeah.
But even if you look at Christ as just a historical figure,
Right.
which clearly he is a historical figure, you can debate whether he is the Son of God or not. But
Right.
even if he was a mortal, just a normal human,
Yeah.
he did some pretty great things.
Right.
And it shows that you were a person who was considered. I always was very impressed by you in those early
Thanks.
days.
Yeah.
You always had it together. Your team was very enthusiastic. I think
Yeah,
you were a
just-
very good leader.
Want to take care of people. I mean, it's like treat other people like you want to be treated.
Exactly. Do unto
So,
others.
Exactly.
As you've had done to you.
Yep.
Done to you, yeah.
Something like that.
Power of Christ compels me. I have to really remember my
Memorize those Bible verses.
my prayers and everything.
That's right.
But I was also I thought you were a little wacky because at some point you said to me, you people should work 4 days a week.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, that's a recipe for disaster in a competitive startup environment, but you actually made it work.
We did for a while. So we have retired that now.
You retired it.
We did. And, you learn a lot over 7 years of building a company. And the 30-hour work week was a good experiment. And we did it for 10 years.
Right.
I think, but at some point we just felt like we were in a super competitive space. And it wasn't going to work. It just became hard.
That's exactly what I told you.
I know. Well,
but it worked for the conference space. But you know what's interesting? I was just thinking, I was like, maybe this summer I should have the company go to 4 days a week and just force everybody to take Fridays off, get everybody to mellow out a little bit.
Jason Fried does that at Basecamp.
He gives them Fridays off in the summer?
In summers, yeah. I don't know if apparently it works, but Jason, if you're listening, you should tell us.
I knew that it was a cool thing because when I worked in the city as an IT person in New York, I used to go up to 57th Street. It's my favorite assignment. I would manage the computers at Chanel.
Oh, nice.
I think it was 9 West 57th Street. Looked out on the park.
You seem very fashionable. I could believe that.
No, I was a disaster back then. I looked like a Banana Republic ad, but with ill-fitting clothes. But anyway, I would go there. And they would leave at 1 o'clock on Fridays. So we would come to work, but we would go up because we would fix the laser printers. But Ryan, we would go to Chanel and it would be, we were 22 years old, 23 years old fixing the laser printers. It was filled with young fashion.
There you go.
Females. And we were just like, this is incredible.
What is going on here?
So they'd be like, there's a printer broken at Chanel. I got it. I got it.
I can
run
help with
to
that.
Chanel. I can fix that printer. They'd be like, it took you 6 hours to fix the printer at Chanel. It took you 30 minutes to fix the printer at Blue Cross Blue Shield.
It was hard.
I was like, that printer was really jammed.
Right.
It was a lot of work, but they were so nice to us. I always remember that. All right.
But you learn a lot. So I think, anyone who's watching this that's a founder, you have to be willing to try these things. And
experiment.
You do. And it's a balance. Now I tell people don't fight gravity. And what I mean by that is there are rules to running businesses. And it isn't worth trying to fundamentally change the way people work. It's just a huge amount of effort. We also did a no manager experiment. And it did work for a little while, but
Until
then
it didn't.
Right. And then, the natural thing that happens, which is, people begin to, splinter into groups,
they want to be managed. In a way, people want to be led.
Yeah, well, they want to be part of an army with a purpose.
Right.
And so I think, looking back, I would probably tell my younger self, just focus 100% on solving the problems of your customers.
Right.
And don't fight gravity on how to run a business. It's just, it'll be too hard. And
fascinating.
You just don't, because, and I think I heard someone on this show say this, that, and it might have been Mark Suster.
Yeah.
I assume you've had him on the show.
3 times. 2 times. Yeah.
And he just basically said, you're going to quit if you, at some point, if you're not careful, because it's so hard.
Right.
And if you can't make it to at least 7 years, you will quit. It's just too hard. So don't do things that make it harder on you than necessary.
Increasing the degree of difficulty. I think holacracy, which I've never
makes it harder.
Which I've never really understood. But I applaud people for wanting to experiment. And my friend Tony Shea has been experimenting, and my other friend Evan Williams, our friend, has been experimenting.
Yep.
And I think they've had to iterate on top of it. So would Medium or Zappos be further along without holacracy?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I think Medium ended that, didn't they? That experiment.
I think they might have adapted it, but it does seem interesting to me to try and to iterate. But you have to be careful not to be increasing the degree of difficulty so much that you can't compete.
Right. And there's easy things you can do. So at Treehouse, we allow people to work from wherever. That we have about 80 employees. The idea is work from wherever. And that gives people the freedom, to be parents, right? If you
and remote was a very controversial topic 10 years ago when Jason Fried and other people were pushing it. So that's an example of an experiment that did work.
Yes. And I think now we get it. Like, listen, people are just more efficient if you let them figure out how to get work done while they're doing what they need to do. Right. There's no need for that. So
let's get back to mentorship and apprenticeship.
Let's do that.
Or social justice and how out of touch I am with reality. Which one should we do first?
Let's do apprenticeship.
Let's do apprenticeship first. Let's go build up. Then I can tease the social justice stuff into segment 3 again. I can double tease it.
I like it.
Maybe. We'll see. Okay. So you heard my position statement on how disastrous internships are.
A little bit of a tirade, I'd say.
It was a bit. It was bordering on a tirade, but I'll tell you, I could go full tirade in a minute, which is people come in, they need to be babysit. You have to babysit them.
Interesting.
And then by the time they get productive, they leave. And typically they use your name to go get a job with one of your competitors.
Well,
it's infuriating. I never do internships anymore unless it's for my friends' kids.
Got it. So I'm going to 100% disagree with you. And I don't know
here we go.
I don't know if I can swear on the show, so
You can.
I'll just say you're totally full of shit.
Really? Here we go.
All right,
Beautiful.
so let's go.
Wow. Now you know why I took a 500 episode break with Ryan.
So this is the way. Let me lay a groundwork, and then explain why this has to be the future.
All right.
So as I said earlier in the show, we are not going to be able to fill these jobs through traditional channels.
Okay.
So you can
developer jobs.
Yeah. And but I think we should think about wider work in general, which but let's focus on developer now.
Sure.
You could say, what about information workers? This is a similar problem, but developers. Okay. So there's a 900,000 person gap
Here in the U.S.
here in the U.S. Okay.
Who knows what it is globally?
So that is not going to be fixed by the traditional talent pipeline. So yes, of course we would hire, super educated, college graduates if we could theoretically, but there's not enough of them. So, okay, what are we going to do? And this is, I think, the fundamental problem. We think that coding is computer science, and computer science is not what these jobs are. These jobs are trade jobs. So that's why I'm wearing my shirt.
Coding is a trade job.
Right? And this is the fundamental shift that we need to make. So I have a computer science degree. I'm proud of that.
Sure.
But the reality is all this work we're talking about is not computer science.
Right.
It's crafts work. It's building
craftsmanship.
things.
What is the non-gender word for craftsmanship? We went through this.
Craftspeople. Something like
anyway,
that.
Crafters. We had this discussion.
Right. But this is actually the truth. So most of what you're doing when you're coding it's creative. It's like screenwriting. It is nothing like science and math. So let's go to the way the trades work. The trades use apprenticeship.
Right.
So this is something humans have done for thousands of years.
You wanted to work if you want to be a blacksmith or you want to be a chef.
You learn the trade and then you get an apprenticeship. Right.
You stand next to the person.
So we've gotten confused, So in the 40s and the 50s when the GI Bill came out, everybody started going to college and then we accepted this new pathway as normal. But the reality is it's not normal. So
and college is a tremendous waste of money for most people. $200,000 in debt.
Yes. So
to get a job that pays $75,000 or $50,000.
The math makes no sense.
You could never catch up.
I've seen you tweet about this, right?
Yeah.
Talking about the New York Times and how they're doing the math on student debt. So I did some math for the show.
Here we go, back of the envelope.
Okay, so take student A, who's a college grad, and student B, who's an apprentice. Okay, the college grad is going to come out of high school and immediately start going into debt.
Right.
The average student debt is now over $30,000, and it doesn't get paid off for 21 years.
21
years. Okay, so college grad is going to come out, immediately have a net worth that's negative, and won't go positive probably until they're 35 or 40. Okay.
Insane.
So now student B, who is the apprentice, they come out of high school and they get a $15 an hour 3-month apprenticeship. And this is what I'm going to pitch for the way tech apprenticeship should work.
Okay.
It's 3 months. It's $15 an hour.
All right. So $15 an hour. If you do 40-hour week, it's $600 a week. It nets out to a $30,000 a year salary about. So it's basically enough to have a couch somewhere or ramen or your commute and some food.
Yes. Or, if you consider a brand new population of people that aren't connected to tech right now, it's actually better than what they're making now.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
right?
if you were
so
a greeter at Walmart
population.
for $10, you work it's more than the Apple Store or Starbucks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically $15 an hour for 3 months. And that allows you to prove yourself to that company.
Right.
But you come in skill ready. So the idea is, this is why we started Treehouse. The idea is you don't come in, needing to learn the skills on the job. You actually come in skill ready. And all you need to do is learn how to work in that environment. It takes 3 months. And then you start at $50K. So it's standard, start at $50K plus benefits. Now, again, that sounds really affordable compared to Silicon Valley prices, but again, that's a great salary.
Sure.
90% of the jobs are outside of Silicon Valley.
Yep.
So student B is the apprentice, right? So they're making $15 an hour and then $50K within 3 months. Student A, who's the college grad, is immediately negative net worth. Now the math is crazy. So I'm super into retirement planning. So I use my little retirement planning software and I did the math.
Would you use Wealthfront's retirement?
Wealthfront is great.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
know
great.
that it's a good product and you are an investor. But I didn't use that because I have this geeky little thing that I already paid for.
No problem.
And the math is wild. So the college grad at their peak is going to be worth around the college grad is going to be, let me back up. Okay. The difference in net worth at the height of their life is over $1 million.
At 50 years old or something?
When you retire.
Oh, 60.
Right.
Right.
So the price of going to college is actually $1 million.
Which could equal a retirement at 55 versus 65.
It's
you could
insane.
retire 10 years earlier by not going to college.
So the apprentice is going to have double the net worth of a college grad. So why are we pushing this path? And I'm not anti-college. I'm pro-job, right?
Yes.
That's the message. So
based on what you're saying, I am in 1,000% agreement with your apprenticeships.
But now the reality of the apprenticeship is what you're worried about, right?
I am actually okay with even the paid apprenticeship. I'll tell you why. Your math makes sense, especially for developer jobs,
right?
Which are a very unique vertical.
Yep.
And here's why your math works. Because I'm doing a little back of the envelope math as you're talking. You're talking about a $7,200 investment.
Right.
If the person completes 3 months, and you're saying they're coming in skill ready.
Skill ready.
They've completed the Treehouse course, which costs them $1,200.
Correct.
So they're actually negative $1,200 coming in.
True, but they're only paying $200 a month.
Right.
So theoretically, they're paying out of cash flow.
But I'm going to just say full bore. They did the 6 months on their own.
Yep.
Living at home with mom and dad and they went negative $1,200.
Yep.
$7,200 they got paid. I'm assuming they still live with mom and dad.
Probably.
That would probably be a good idea. So now they've wiped out the $1,200 in debt with that $7,200 and had a little bit left over for commuting, expenses, maybe even taking somebody out on a date on the weekends once or twice. I'm not saying you're not taking them to see Hamilton, but you might take them to see Alien Covenant.
Something like that.
Both of which are excellent. So here's your math. For the company, $7,200. Right. Well, they would pay to hire a developer 10% of their salary. If the developer salary was $50K or $75K, you only need, if the developer stays for 2 years, it will pay for itself, especially because if somebody gets 4, 5, 6 weeks into the apprenticeship and they can't do the basic concept of getting to work on time or listening to instructions, you can weed out knuckleheads.
Yep.
Or people who just aren't a culture fit.
Yep.
So I look at it as the try before you buy.
Yes.
Which is what the secret silver lining to this is. You can avoid mistakes and avoid paying these. So it is actually a great concept. When we get back from this final break, I want to talk about what you wish for your children in terms of going to college or not, because you're independently wealthy. You're going to be able to pay for college or not.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I want to know what your instructions are as somebody who can afford college and afford the luxury of them going to a brilliant college. And then when I want to get into the social justice debate that I've had online, which is I believe the world is more just today and that if people want to pull themselves up by their bootstrap, it is possible. But people keep telling me it is not possible for people to rise above, gain skills, and do it because the world's against them when we get back on This Week in Startups. Hey, let me read a quick message for Eero, right? Eero is the world's first home mesh Wi-Fi system. I use it. It's amazing. It's super simple to set up. You can use iOS or Android apps, and it will blanket your home in Wi-Fi coverage with these beautiful little, what do they call those? It's like little hockey pucks. You just put them around your house, and they work. It's easy to set up. It's super reliable. And I was able to find all different spaces in my house that were not working, and suddenly, boom, when I installed Eero, they started working. Go to Eero.com, EERO.com. Eero is what I said, right? Eero. All right, let's get this right. Eero. Eero, like your ear. Eero, EERO.com. And use the promo code TWIST, and they will give you expedited shipping. It's a great, great product, and it's the first time you can really replace these existing routers and just plug in and have fast, reliable Wi-Fi around your entire compound, apartment, loft, abode, whatever you're living in. It just works great. I love the product, and I'm getting it for my mom because she's been calling me. Jason, it's your mother. The Wi-Fi's not working. Your father can't use his crossword puzzle iPad. Can you come and fix it? Yes, Mom, I will do customer support, and I will bring Eero to Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and set it up next week when I'm there. Okay, thanks to our friends at Eero. All All right, welcome back to This Week in Startups. You can follow the show on Twitter at TWI Startups or on Instagram at TWI Startups. We don't really do much there, but we do have a secret group on Mighty Networks. If you go to community.thisweekinstartups.com, community.thisweekinstartups.com, 2,000 of the top fans, super fans as we call them, of This Week in Startups are hanging out talking about the topics that we talk about on the show. It's sort of like the show after party. You know, like SNL, they have an after party. Well, 1% of the audience that listens to the show comes to the after party at community.thisweekinstartups.com. I hope you join us there. It's free for now.
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, we've been experimenting. We have a Facebook group. We also have a group on at community.thisweekinstartups.com. Both of them have about 2,000 people. Both of them are doing pretty well. And I think that a structured private community for a podcast is a nice complement, especially if people start talking about what they like on the show or the topics.
You bet.
What we really need is a dedicated person who lives and dies by facilitating discussion. So if you want to be what we used to call the list mom. I don't know if you remember listservs.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Remember that as a flashback? We used to do listservs. Yep. We had Twist List actually for this group.
Gosh, yep.
So we need a list mom, which is, and you don't have to be a woman. It could be a man too. But a list mom back in the day was somebody who just kept the discussion going and kept people from posting garbage. It's amazing when you start these groups.
Yep. We actually
half the posts are garbage,
totally.
2/3. And we basically put I gave everybody one strike. If you promote yourself or anything on the list,
you are out.
Not only do we delete the post or not post it to begin with,
we come find you.
We block you from joining the list because you didn't read the instructions. It's hardcore.
Right.
What? And then people email me and say, "Oh, you blocked me. Can I get back in?" I say, "Well, you sent promotion
read
tools."
the manual.
Yeah. And then I let them in.
No.
All right. When we left our hero, Ryan Carson, who you can follow on Twitter, Ryan Carson, and check out Treehouse, which is teamtreehouse.com. I couldn't give it a bigger endorsement. They do a wonderful job at Treehouse. If you want to learn either the $25, like sort of starter program for consumers, and if you like it, if you want to be a developer, $200 a month. We haven't actually seen the product. Can we pull the product up for a second? Is that possible?
Yeah, let's take it.
Why don't you pull the product up here and give us a little quick demo of it? Because one of the things I found fascinating was you're doing projects.
Yep.
So when you pay $25 a month, you don't interact with teachers.
Correct.
When you pay $200 a month, am I right that I'm interacting with a teacher?
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's why it has an added 0 on it.
Yeah, it takes more human power. So
right, makes sense.
The way it works is that
here we go.
For $25, you have tracks and you pick what you want to learn. So we have, Python, we have Java, etc.
29 hours, 14 hours, whatever.
Yeah, and so you pick a track, and then here we are with full stack JavaScript, which is a track. And this is what we're very good at. We guide you step by step, course by course. And so the whole point is you don't have to know what order to learn these things in. You don't have to know what to learn in what order we tell you. So in each of those courses, you have video. So
very nice.
This is Treasure. She's one of our teachers, and she's teaching HTML and CSS here. We spend a lot of money on really good motion design to explain things.
Yeah. This
is one of these things we're very good at. And then we have this thing called Workspaces, which essentially is a development environment in the cloud. One of the main issues you have as a developer is just how do you set up your local computer? It's really hard.
Yeah.
And so we do a one button click and you get a development environment in the cloud.
Perfect.
So we're good at that. And now,
which is sort of what people do with, what's the developer?
There's a lot of them now.
What's the big popular one that all the Y Combinator use?
There's Cloud9. There's a lot of them.
There was something people were using where they would use it for a while. You could play with it, but it was really expensive. Then you got to move over to AWS.
I don't know, but
Heroku.
Yes, yeah, Heroku.
You'd have it on Heroku.
Got by Salesforce.
Yeah, they got bought by Salesforce, right?
Yes.
But you could build a little something in the Heroku cloud, use it, but it was a little bit more expensive than having it on a production server at Amazon or IBM or Azure or whatever.
Right. And so this is ours. It's called Workspaces, and it's an actual Linux server, so you can do Linux commands.
Beautiful.
This is easy, and you can code there. But this is like training wheels. So you get people going, and you get them kind of booted up. Eventually, they're going to be coding on their local machine. But
but people could do this in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's a 30-hour course, 60-hour course. You can do it in under a month.
Yeah. So the idea is if you get started, you're super motivated, you can do the $25 product. That's fine. But if you want to get job ready, then you take our tech degree. And so this is the tech degree. It's basically 6 different tech degrees. You have anywhere from front-end web development to Android. And in this product, what you have are these very specific units that lead to a project. And this is what you were talking about.
What kind of projects do you do? Like make people build a, here we go, random quote generator.
So project one is really easy. You build a random quote generator. This is actually mine. I got a meets expectation. I'm very proud of that.
Meets expectation. Wow.
I was going for exceeds, and I was kind of pissed because I didn't get
that could be the name of your autobiography. Meets expectations. The Ryan Carson story.
I'm just going to quit now. If that's so this is the feedback I got from our reviewer.
It's better than my autobiography. Needs improvement.
I'll be happy then with meets. But as you said, you really need to know what project to build and what order to build it, and you need feedback on whether you did it correctly.
And the random quote generator is making like quotes that would be like funny quotes, something you would read.
Yeah, real simple.
Got it.
So that product is the tech degree. It walks you through it, and then we use Slack. To have, you're talking about the community. So we use Slack and all the students go in there, and we have tech degree success folks in Slack who do the moderating.
Got it.
So they don't actually teach, but they just keep the...
So you might have a dozen students in there at any given point in time? Or?
Well, there's hundreds.
Oh, wow.
And
so is it hard to follow them in the discussion? It gets a little too chaotic?
The sweet spot's probably 400. But basically what we've done with all this is we figured out how to reduce the cost of a computer science degree, which is $58,000, down to 2% of that.
Amazing.
Right. And education for some reason hasn't moved on and innovated.
I want to thank my friends over at Mighty Networks. Gina built me a network for This Week in Startups that you can go play with. Type This Week in Startups into your app store and download it, and you'll find 2,000 entrepreneurs talking about startups. It's a really amazing network, and we could even charge people to be members of the network. It's free right now, but we may do that in the future and then hire somebody to be the community manager for it. And it really helps you organize your group, see statistics, and do polls. It's kind of like your own little social network just for yourself, and it really has helped us because we have 150,000 people who download every episode. Now we have the 1% of those people, just over 1%, hanging out every day talking about startups. So it's transforming our business in just the first 2 months of using it. And you can go create your own Mighty Network right now. MightyNetworks.com/twist, MightyNetworks.com/twist. Click on Create a Network, and you can start your business plan for free for 14 days. It is an incredibly powerful tool, and Gina is just a brilliant founder who's been working on this for a while. If you tweet a link to me with your network, at Jason and at Mighty Networks, we will, the best one is going to receive a t-shirt from Mighty Networks, and I might even retweet it for you. So go ahead and tweet me your network, at Jason, at Mighty Networks, with the hashtag Mighty Twist, to win that free t-shirt and a retweet from me. And go ahead and check out community.thisweekinstartups.com, and you can join the Mighty Network of super fans of the show talking about startups. All right. So 2% the cost, complete geographic freedom, and complete time shifting freedom.
Right. So, I mean, this is going to be exactly the way we think about Uber now. How did people ever use cabs? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
The idea of calling a cab company, waiting, they don't show up.
What if you can't find the number?
You call them back, they yell at them over the radio.
So we know it's stupid now, right? So I think we're going to look back on the way traditional universities are run, I think in as short as 5 years, and say, why did anybody do that? And it's not that colleges are broken. It's just that they didn't innovate, right?
All right. I'm in love
So let's go back to the apprenticeship thing, huh?
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to make mayorjason.com is going to make a proclamation here. If I run for mayor and win, I am going to do a deal with Ryan.
Okay, I will do that.
And we are going to provide people who are in danger, at-risk students. Okay. There are many in high school. We are going to give them a subsidized Team Treehouse.com account.
I love it.
Ryan's going to do it for half price.
Nope.
All right. He's going to give us 35% off bulk purchase.
Nope. But we can
discount for that. You're going to get a tax break for it, okay? You get a little tax break. We're going to get a little bit of a discount.
Yep.
And then we're going to get some companies to sponsor it, huh?
Well, let me tell you, we basically have done this.
You have?
Yes.
Now, this is not talk about Christian and saving the world.
That's right.
If you could make people who are at risk is it possible for somebody who's an at-risk high school student to jump into one of these courses and complete it?
Absolutely. So
now we're getting into the social justice.
Yeah. So you were saying you feel that there is essentially equity now, right? Everybody has the opportunity, and I agree with that in theory. Right.
The opportunity is there.
Right.
It exists on the internet.
Yeah. So in theory, it makes sense. But we still have this massive gender and color gap in tech. So it's like, what is happening? So I decided to look into this and say, I want to actually help here and figure this out.
Great.
So a year ago, I started to work on this.
Okay.
And I talked to a lot of people of color and women and said, why are people not taking these new pathways? And what is going on? And they basically said, Ryan, listen, don't you understand that this is when a white guy like you with a computer science degree comes into my neighborhood and says, you can do this, you can code, you can get a job. It's the same as when, wealthy white church planters would go to the ghetto and say, I'm going to build a church here because you need it. And I'm going to help you. And they're basically going, who are you?
So the trust issue.
Yeah. Like, who are you? Why do I need your help? And like, what's your motive? And I thought, that makes sense.
That's the first I've ever heard it. So there's this distrust of this path, maybe.
Right. Well, it's just like, I don't know you. Like, why? You're not, you're not like me.
Unfamiliar. It's the unfamiliar.
Yeah. So what's interesting. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. And so what we did is we decided the pathway is broken because we aren't connecting with people at the beginning of the talent pipeline. So what I mean by that is, I think we've partnered now with not-for-profits like Boys and Girls Club, and we basically said, you have the trust of this community. They know you, they love you, they believe you. So why don't you recruit into this pipeline and say, there are jobs. You can get a $50,000 job without a college degree. It's here,
like, or 75 or 100,000,
right? To start 50K, right? And you could be making 100 before you know it. And so the trust is there, and they actually believe them. And then we go to the other end of the talent pipeline to the employers and say, "Can you hire diverse folks?" And they all go, "No, I can't solve this problem." Right. And
why can't they solve this problem? There's just not enough candidates.
Because they're trying to hire computer science grads.
Right.
And they're all white.
And or Indian or Asian.
Yeah.
There are overrepresented minorities.
Correct.
And there's underrepresented minorities and genders.
And so it's like, you have to change where you're looking for talent. And they go, oh, okay. And I basically say, if we could solve this problem for you, would you want us to solve it? And of course they go, yes, please.
Right.
And then we say, here's the answer. Hire apprentices. And we will deliver them to your door, skill ready. And then here's the thing, $15 an hour for 3 months, and then $50K. And they go, sign me up.
Amazing.
And so we got Nike to agree to this. Envision, which is a massive company.
Sure.
They're hiring out of this pipeline. And so we launched this yesterday. And it's a pilot.
Well, thanks for coming on and announcing it here. That's great.
That's right. Launched yesterday.
So here's the thing. There is a pipeline issue.
Big time.
And I think, number one, I think it's amazing that you're addressing it and trying to solve the problem.
Thank you.
I think that in tech, this issue is so radioactive that people refuse to talk about it.
Right.
And I think specifically on Twitter, it's so radioactive.
Yeah, it's
because you have a combination of people who have been largely marginalized, right. I think is the proper word to use. And they are rightfully resentful, angry, or untrusting, or just have a very strong opinion.
Yep.
And then there are a group of people who are considered clueless like us, who...
We're learning.
Well, or we could have been clueless 5 years ago, and maybe we figured some things out because we asked questions.
Yep.
And my hope is that more people engage this discussion and then figure out what is the pipeline issue.
Right.
Because we here at launch had the same issue. We couldn't get enough women in the audience, and we're like, we're giving away the tickets for free, and we invited 100 women to be on stage, and only 6 of them said yes.
Right.
So we're like, well, we did our job.
So have you considered this framework that I'm proposing, which is, change the way you source?
Exactly.
So go to
So it's exactly what we did. We looked and said, hey, where we're sitting on the conveyor belt of life, we're not seeing diversity. So we said, okay, let's walk up the conveyor belt and see what's up, in the building next to us. It was exactly what you did.
Right.
And what we found was there were more women who were and underrepresented minorities considering starting businesses.
Interesting.
And so we said, you know what? They're not ready for the incubator, because the incubator is for people who have a product in the market. let's create another product. So we created Founder.University, which is a 2-day program, which is the same curriculum as the incubator, but instead of over 12 weeks, we do it in 12 hours. So it's immersive,
awesome.
and we're doing it again in July, and we're going to do only women for that one.
Wow, well done.
And the idea, well, yes, I'd like a cookie and a star, which is the funny refrain that the social justice warriors say to me whenever we do something good. They're like, "Here's your cookie," because they like pat you on the head because they think you're doing it because you want the cookie.
Right, wow.
We're really actually doing it because you want to see change in the world, right?
That's
Anybody,
the right
I mean, I
thing
have
to do.
daughters. We all want to, and I think everybody kind of wants to see change in the world. So
Absolutely.
I think that what you're doing is particularly. I think we're all kind of getting to this. It makes me hopeful.
Yeah, and it takes work and time, right? So this effort that you're doing is not going to change the gender ratio right away.
No,
the work I'm doing is not going to change the color and gender ratio right away. But in 10 years, it will.
Dramatically, it will.
Right, and I think it's like you said, not being afraid of this conversation. So, and this may sound crazy, but I was like, I don't really seem to hang out with people of color. Like, what is my problem?
Right.
And so I started to say, this is crazy. I got to change this.
Right.
And did really practical things. Like I get my hair cut now at a black barber because I'm the only white guy there.
Interesting.
And it makes me
I was going to ask you,
aware.
it's a nice cut. You got a nice cut.
Thank
It's
you.
tight. Tight is right.
Just makes you aware and you start to realize, okay, I can just talk normally about this stuff, right?
Right.
I can be relaxed and we can solve this problem.
Yeah. Our society is so polarized right now.
Yeah. Boy.
And you see it in politics, you see it in tech, you see it on social media a lot. And although it feels kind of violent and uncomfortable, I kind of feel like sometimes to solve a hard issue, you have to kind of walk through the fire to get to the other side.
Yeah, get in the
and
dirt,
I feel like
figure
that's
it
what's
out.
happening right now. And I feel like you have one of the tightest solutions I've heard. So I think
Thank you.
I give you a lot of kudos for it because
We're excited to try it.
Well, also talking about it is, I've had many of our mutual friends and other folks say, why do you even talk about this? You're just setting yourself up because your
'cause
words
it's
will be
important.
twisted. Your words will be, you'll slip up, you'll say the wrong word, and everybody will attack you and say you're a racist.
Right. But but I think you have a thick skin, and so do I. And I know that these solutions are at least a good idea because I'm talking to my friends who are people of color.
Yeah.
And and the more you talk, the more you learn. So they said to me, Ryan, make sure that you don't say this is some sort of charity thing, that you're giving people things they need.
Right.
Make sure to communicate that companies are investing in them because they need them.
Well, that's where the word apprenticeship comes out.
Right.
So accurate and so virtuous because it's not like you're saying, like, there are a lot of words that trigger feelings.
Right.
Like affirmative action
Right.
or quotas or raising or lowering the bar.
Right.
Like, there are words that if you say them and they mean the same thing,
Right.
like even the word pipeline,
Right.
when you say there's a pipeline issue, some people, incorrectly, I believe, will attack you and say, there's no pipeline problem. The problem is racism. And it's like, I don't think the people at Facebook and Twitter who are publishing their stats, which are miserable, are racists.
No.
It's far from that. If they were racist, they would literally not publish the statistics that are abhorrent and horrible. They're confronting it head on, and they're spending tens of millions on diversity training and diversity recruitment. That's the opposite of being racist.
Right.
So we now have a climate in which when people say, hey, here's the statistics and here's how we're trying to solve the problem, they get attacked.
Right.
It's not productive.
No, it's hard. But I think, positive solutions like yours with Launch and ours with Future Tech, which is this apprenticeship program, are a step in the right direction.
Sure.
And there's things actually we can cheer about. And, and also they're bipartisan, so, no matter who you voted for or which party you belong to, everybody wants a job, right? And, everybody wants to be represented.
That's always been one of my key premises in life is that when people have productive work and they feel good going to work, society's a lot more functional.
Yes.
And we're starting to see what underemployment or shitty employment does to a society. The people who voted Trump in and the people who sent him there to Washington, and we're sitting here in the spring of 2017 when the world feels like it's teetering on impeachment and war and insanity. Those people were not voting for that individual. They were voting against the system and to burn it down
Yep.
and to start over.
Opportunity.
And because they want a decent job. If you look at countries in the Middle East, a lot of the countries that have massive terrorism problems have massive underemployment of 18 to 30-year-old men.
Exactly. We need to get people good jobs.
Exactly. The person who blew up the Ariana, is it Grande or Grande?
I think so. Yeah.
Ariana Grande. Tragically, this just happened last night. The person's a 22-year-old Muslim, and I'm going to go ahead and guess that maybe they didn't have the same employment opportunities, because a lot of them don't, or they come from countries that have systematically not had employment problems. And
right.
What happens when you don't have a job?
Right. Bad things
hang
happen.
out at church. Yep. You're easily flipped by these ISIS bastards.
People need an opportunity to get a job. And so that's why tech is so exciting. There are so many jobs.
Right.
And as soon as we unlock this talent pipeline, they can get them. Right. It's just so empowering.
Let's take some questions from the audience. If you have a question, obviously you can ask it on Twitter. You can ask it in the Facebook group. And Josh Krakora says, Treehouse students span the globe. Where's the biggest growth occurring? Which is the most surprising? That's a good question. Thank you, Josh.
That is a good question. We're seeing a ton of growth in India.
Because you're English only
we are.
Currently.
English only. We focus really, really, really hard on being good at what we do, and to be multilingual is really hard.
Oh my God, is it? Yeah. You're not just translating a menu bar. No. You're actually
you're creating a school.
Right, you're creating a school.
And there's cultural norms. There's all sorts of stuff. So we're just in English. Seeing a ton of growth in India. But the U.S. is massive growth. I mean, all these people we're talking about that need work. They're seeing this as a new path.
Do you think the same way you have the ability to talk about onboarding people to the Boys and Girls Club, et cetera, do you think companies doing layoffs would offer a Treehouse $1,200 voucher on the way out for people, or half of it, let's say?
That's not a bad idea.
So, let's say Ford is laying off 1,000 people, or whoever it is laying people off, and they say, hey, we're trying to give these people a safe landing.
Right. That would be amazing, and if anyone's listening from those large companies, get in touch.
What do you think of? Yeah, go ahead.
Empowering people to pick up these skills so they can get a new job would be amazing.
What do you think of these University of Phoenix places that are people are doing GI loans and then they're spending $30,000-$40,000 getting an IT degree?
Yeah.
We hear a lot of questionable situations going on. I don't know if University of Phoenix is still suffering from that.
Very strong feelings about University of Phoenix. They are I believe immoral.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're charging for a product that doesn't teach you the skills you need to get a job, and they're charging massive amount of money, and the American taxpayer is picking up the bill. I mean, it's just the whole, don't even get me started. And there's a class action lawsuit against them.
It's amazing.
I mean,
And they charge like 30, 40, 50,000.
Right.
And you charge 1,000.
Right.
Do you have access to those GI loans and stuff like that yet?
No, and we do not want it. I mean,
really?
I think as soon as you drink from that cup, it's really hard to care about your students in the way you need to.
All right, here's a tough question from Iqbal Hamami.
Let's hear it.
What makes the difference between Treehouse services and other platforms which offer free learning?
That's a great question. So what we offer costs money, which is a very strong editorialized guided path. So you can go on YouTube right now and learn everything that we teach. Right. Now, you're not going to know if you're learning the latest thing, or you're not going to understand if it's in the right order. And so it's going to take you more time. It's going to be more painful. So,
all right, here we go. This is the most important question as we wrap up here with Ryan Carson of Treehouse. You can follow Treehouse on the Twitter, and you can go to teamtreehouse.com. Eric Cover asks on Facebook, is there any chance of a twist discount today on the full stack JavaScript path? Is there a chance? He's asking if the code twist would get him a discount.
I think we can make that happen.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, what would the discount be? It's $1,200. What would be a discount that would be meaningful? Or maybe the first 10 get a significant discount. We could limit the first 10 to email Ryan at Team Treehouse. I'm assuming your first name at your company name. All right, here we go. Now, this is it. Ryan at teamtreehouse.com. The first 10 to email get...
First 10 get the entire first month for free.
$200. You're just going to give them $200.
Let's do it.
Wow. All right,
Boom.
here you go, everybody.
I'm taking care of your
Ryan
listeners.
at teamtreehouse.com. Get your first month free, $200. I better not go to the site and it says first month free, does it?
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. You have to pay to
We
go.
have a 7-day free trial.
All right, listen, Ryan, it's great to have you back on the show. It's great to see that the company is doing so well.
Thanks.
And congratulations to you and your team. 80 employees now, 80,000 enrolled students, founded back in 2011 and still crushing it. It's great to have you come back on. We need to do Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie, take a note. Let's go back to 2011, look at the guests who were on, see who's still in business, and have them do a victory lap.
Hey, I like that.
I think these are a nice little victory lap. You guys are doing tens of millions of dollars in revenue, something like that?
We've been doing a lot of hard work.
What do you got, 10, 20 million, 30 million, something in that range?
We're doing really good.
80 employees. I can do the math here. Because you haven't raised any more money, which means you're either break even, close to break even, or profitable.
We're throwing off cash now.
Well, okay, yum, yum. Now I look at it, I say 80 people.
Yes.
80 people, I can do the math super easy. 80 people, that costs about $10K per month, all in, counting office space, et cetera. Plus you got to do marketing at your company and some other stuff.
Something like that.
But 80 people means you're spending $10 million a year just on salaries and that kind of stuff. You add another 5 million, 15. If you're hitting on profitability output, you're somewhere in the $15 to $25 million range.
Interesting. You are fairly prescient.
See, this is the thing. When you invest in
investor.
150 companies and you pass on 100 for every one you invest in, that means I've done this with 1,500 companies in the last 7 years. All right, Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie, you are amazing. Thank you for making this show so great. And Master Jake, numbering the cameras and dialing things in. My AV director
is a professional
he's getting very
operation.
good.
Yes.
Still room to grow.
This is the best show I've been on.
If we have problems with the audio, if we have problems with the video or any technical issue, you know what to do. Email Jake at launch.co. Don't email me, Jason at launch.co. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.